Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm, your sometimes weekly, sometimes not Final Fantasy podcast. Today, well, it's been a few weeks for me, but the raiding scene is rife with people experiencing burnout and stress and all that stuff from long-term commitments, and I've already knocked something over at the start of the show, so you can tell that I'm a bit on edge. But in this episode, we're going to be talking about mental health and how it affects individuals in raiding. And to talk about that, we're going to need some people. I'm one of them, Mr. Happy. Of course, joining me is Sly, who, as I stated off the microphone, threw on his therapist glasses right before this to help us out. How you doing, Sly?
They were on before you even mentioned it. You didn't even notice.
Yeah, but then I noticed them, so I brought it up.
Yeah, it took you a while. I guess you didn't even really
the show
pay attention to my camera.
I was getting the show set up. Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
And we also have a couple of other guests who have been a bit outspoken about, how things have been affecting them and how they felt about raiding in Final Fantasy XIV. So I wanted to bring them on to talk. And I also noticed that Stal definitely just put on her therapist glasses. Those were not there before. First guest, Stal. How you doing, Stal?
Hi. It's me again.
Stal is like, why do I... whenever I
again.
DM Stal to be on the show, she's like, heck yeah, let's do it. She gets here and she's like...
Hi.
Thanks, I guess. How are you
No,
doing?
it's just I don't know if I have anything good to add though.
Well, hi.
Hi.
There you go. Add a hi.
I'm okay. I just woke up.
Fair. I also just hate existing right when I wake up. So, I know the feeling.
That's a mood.
Yeah. And joining us for the first time on the show, surprisingly, given how much I like to trash on the ranged fizz roll, I'm amazed they've never ended up on here, no matter how much I play it. We have Serenaya. Welcome.
Hello. Yeah, I was going to say this is my first time on State of the Realm, so go easy.
Yeah, don't worry. I may not have brought you on for the fizz range shows, but we actually ended up with a fizz range show somehow.
I'm sure there'll be a mention of it somewhere.
There has to be. It's unavoidable, especially because I was the bard at one point, Stal's the dancer, and you're the machinist.
True, actually, yeah. The trifecta's here.
Yeah, exactly. And then the dragoon, who a few expansions ago we would have been grateful for, but now they just coexist.
They do a rework, and it's not looking good.
We'll see what Sly's meaning. We'll see what Sly's meaning after 7.0.
Possibly machinist.
There you go. Now it is a fizz range show. Perfect. And the machinists outnumber the other fizz range, just like the Omega Protocol. Well, welcome on. Today's show is going to be one where we get to kind of unload a little bit of our mental anguish that has occurred over the recent years, given the Final Fantasy XIV raid scene and the demands of us as individuals. I will say this, none of us are well, at least I don't think. Are either of you medically, or have medical degrees of any kind? Siren, Stal?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Not at all.
Making sure before I become a liar. We are not medical experts. While we will be talking about kind of personal experiences with the raid scene and experiences we've had, we are not in any way giving any sort of mental health advice. If you need that, I would, of course, advise seeing a professional in your area. And yes, Kat is here, heard stress, and was like, let me come undo that for you a bit. There you go. Isn't that right, Ivy? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, before we get started, though, thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. They don't have to. They choose to, and we love them for it. And, of course, thank you to our other sponsors, Steel Series and Advanced GG. Just get a cat. Cat is the solution. No, cat gets you killed in raid because they just destroy things mid pull. There you go. See? Like that. All right. So the idea for this, as Sly knows, was born of an idea from DSR originally. Do you remember the idea, Sly?
The DSR support group.
I like how instantly Saren's like, oh, and Stal's just like,
Yeah.
that's the mood for the show. Yeah, the idea being that everyone was pretty emotionally drained after Dragon Song's reprise, one way or the other.
I cried on my clear, so that tells you something.
I did as well.
I don't cry at video games ever, so I shocked myself.
I think almost everyone I know had some sort of powerful emotion upon clearing DSR. It was just this grueling mental anguish. Stal, what was yours like? Because you actually took the back half of DSR a little bit more lightly, if I recall, after the going hard at the first half.
Yeah, when I cleared, I don't know, I just went to get Jollibee. I didn't really feel anything.
I'm jealous of the Jollibee decision. I haven't been to a Jollibee in years, so I respect that decision. So we thought about doing some sort of mental health / support group after DSR had come out. We never got around to it. Do you remember why we didn't get around to it, Sly? I think it was we needed to invite too many people.
Yeah, there was that, and we were kind of waiting on like the other clears to kind of trickle into like the middle of the road clears, I guess you could say, because you had the ones who cleared first, and then you had the ones who were like months in, and by that time we had other shows and other content to do outside of 14. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff that got in the way of it, but I mean, it's a good time to talk about it now, seeing as y'all just finished another Ultimate.
Well, I did. I think, Stal, you had Lunar New Year, and I know Siren just rejoined another group and is back to phase 5, I think it is.
So the group is 3 cleared, 4 fresh, and then me, I've seen up to Sigma Trio, but today we reached phase 4 for the first time, and we've been raiding for 6-7 hours, so it's been pretty good.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Nice.
And Stal, I know you've been taking it very easy with 14 right now.
Yeah, I'm just chilling. But I've had like maybe 3 or 4 people ask me if I want to do reproc, but I don't know, I'm still a bit on the fence about it.
Knowing full well what you've been through before with this.
In my head the only thing I hear is the P1 music, and I'm like, oh, man. I don't know if I want to go back.
Well, to be fair, what's better, the Interdimensional Rift P1 music or hearing every single time?
Both are not good. They're both equally bad.
I think the E might be worse. Just personally speaking, I think the E might be worse. I got to it.
I usually turn off BGM pretty fast, so after a while I get bored and just use other music to refocus me a bit. Sometimes works.
Too scared of getting DMCA.
Just separate your audio from your VOD unless you need it. That's what I do. So any VOD watchers have no music at all, but worth it for me at least.
I really should do that. I'm too lazy.
Virtual audio cables are the best.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
Lifesaver.
Sly, you look like you were pondering something there for a second.
Oh no, I was just wanting to kind of get it started in a way, and I kind of want to, like, I guess, go back in time, because when we all had our different starts in raiding. Like, I guess, I mean, Happy, you've been doing it forever. Stal, when did you say you started like doing hardcore? I guess.
Oh shit, I was like a teenager. I think so long ago. Maybe Alpha Escape.
Oh wow. And yeah. What about you, Serenaya?
I've been on the game since 4.1. My first tier was Sigmascape in 4.2, and I went hardcore in Endwalker, actually. I was often clearing Savage Week 2 until Asphodelos, and then I went hardcore from there.
Okay. That's fair. So different walks. Mental health hasn't really, we really haven't really seriously talked about it until this point, I guess. Like, it never really got brought up in in Heaven's Ward, in ARR.
Okay, hold on about the Heaven's Ward comment. Wait.
Okay.
I might be the only one here who did it that hard, but let me tell you, Gordius is a special kind of hell. All right.
I mean, yeah, Gordius, the breaker of statics. Yes, I do remember. I was there. But we never really like. It never really came up in conversation. I mean, yeah, like the after effects were there, but everybody just kind of moved past it. But now we're at a point where we're seeing rating in general, not just Ultimate, but Savage take its toll on people. Like getting groups, being a part of groups, being a group leader, taking its toll on people. And Happy, I'll start with you. I kind of want to know. I kind of want to know why this is hitting now more than it would have back then.
So, I'll say Asmodeus didn't have this issue. I think it's fair. It being the first tier, it's not too surprising. Like the worst thing about Asmodeus for people is how orange the third fight was. Like that was the number one most stressful complaint. And nothing else. The fights were okay. People dislike different bits. Then we got DSR. Now, I think some of the symptoms of this is going from not having anything on that level to having what was arguably the hardest one that they had ever released at the time. And there was a huge swing in emotion. There was a lot of people that got in after T came out and didn't have much of an experience with doing something like that, completely fresh with people who had never done it before. And so the people who were brave enough to go after it quickly started experiencing all the things an MMO player never wants to experience. They make no progress, feel dissatisfied with rate of progress, dissatisfied with skill of play. People start arguing because of all of these elements. People lose friend groups, people lose statics, people have to leave Discord. Like everything that could possibly happen that does not make for a great gaming experience pretty much happened to a ton of people hopping into Ultimate for the first time in DSR. For the people who were long-standing used to it, it was the sheer individual requirement just taking a mental toll on top of, differences in skill and play and all that, just making for frustrating rates. And over a long period of time, that just smacks you down non-stop. And it's just all culminated. And I don't think people who were stressed or burned out from DSR have recovered since. I think we're seeing still the effects of it now in Abyssos and in the Omega Protocol.
Okay. Serenaya, since you started a bit later, what are your feelings about just burnout and all the above, like based on now versus back then when you first started?
I think time played is definitely a factor. Like I have something along the lines of 23,500 hours in this game now. It's way too much. And like I enjoyed this sort of steady sort of ladder climb from clearing something week. I think Sigmascape I cleared like week 15 plus. Then Alphascape was week 4. Then all through Shadowbringers I cleared week 2. And then Endwalker I cleared both raid tiers week 1. So I think over time, maybe it just builds up. You get used to the formula. If you don't like the direction the game is going, maybe that's part of it. Maybe it just starts to frustrate you in the background. Perhaps experiences of groups have gotten worse. Like, not for me personally, but that might be a factor for some. I think for DSR specifically, it was a combination of not having an ultimate for 2.5 years, and also that ultimate being really hard. And then also on top of that, like I'll speak for myself, but I feel like for some it was a hell of a kick in the teeth because a lot of people have come to the game since then. They've gone and cleared UCOB, U, and T, and they've thought, hey, this isn't so bad, you know, because they're in kind of nerfed states right now. And then they go into DSR, and it's just a massive slap in the face. And I think people have like this expectation that it's not going to be so bad, only for it to be awful. So for me, but for me personally, I think it's come from wanting to reach ever higher, and then realizing you're starting to hit a limit, which changes for, everyone has a different limit. But until you discover that limit, you're just going to push harder and harder and harder until you just kind of walk into a wall, essentially. Which is kind of what happened with me in top, in a way.
Stal?
Hi. Yes.
Same question.
Same question.
I think for me it's a bit different. For me, I've already felt like not wanting to rate since Eden's promise actually. So it's been like 3 years since I felt that. And I think I especially felt it when we were doing prep raids. And we went to the Stormblood raids, and like doing those versus what we have now is so different. And it makes me feel like, man, I really don't like what the game is doing, not just with raid direction but also job direction, where everything feels kind of samey and my bard, it's gone forever. I still can't get over that. And I think like DSR and top was really nice. Like they added 2 ultimates this expansion and everything, but for me it's more of just like I've already stopped caring, and it's kind of hard to accept it in a way because I've been playing this game since I was a teenager, and it's pretty much my whole life, and now I'm like in denial about the whole thing. It's so difficult to accept that, I probably will never like raiding again if nothing changes, which it probably wouldn't change. I kind of don't see it changing. And yeah, it's just a lot of stress from IRL stuff as well. And now I feel that I much enjoy playing with friends instead of, trying to clear fast and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's fair. So we can kind of, I guess, break this down into 2 categories, I guess. I guess difficulty factor from the game itself, and then the people factor from the people you raid with, so to speak. So let's start from the game. And difficulty is kind of it's not really a weird topic, but it's one that gets thrown out there so often when we talk about like recent stuff like top and DSR and comparing the 2 and things like that. But how does difficulty weigh on you? How does difficulty like play a factor in weighing on you and, causing emotional stress?
I think it's a feeling of failing in a way. Mm-hmm. Like when you spend a long time playing a game, you naturally get better at that game over time. But then when something's thrown at you that you actually struggle with, so like DSR was just like a lot of like sequence mechanics, you could learn the permutations and do it. Whereas top is a lot of priority systems, it's a lot of randomness. There's so much to learn, and then add tough DPS checks on top of that, and it suddenly feels like you're juggling a lot more. Like when they said it was going to be a puzzle, I immediately thought like True Heart again. It It was just going to be some weird gimmick. I didn't think the mechanics were literally going to be puzzles from start to finish. So for me, it was just feeling like I was no longer like as good as I thought, and I never thought I was like stellar at the game or anything like that. But for me, realizing I had so much more to go, but then being able to see that, you know, you're probably good at some things but not so good at others is kind of like what threw me through a loop in a way. And it shouldn't have caused me as much stress as it did, but I just found myself on top of like things going on in the background that it was just at least doing that many hours for that long on a lack of sleep and whatnot, like it just kind of got a bit too much for me. I don't know. It was just a lot of things just kind of clashing together, none of which are that big of a deal on their own. But yeah.
And I'm glad you bring that up because, like, I mean, you say you're not the best, but again, you do high level content. And I feel like we, as of recent, as of like maybe what between Shadowbringers and now, or even like at the beginning of Shadowbringers 2 now, we've kind of had this renaissance of, you know, raids being accessible. Like, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. This kind of thing. But it feels like that just crashed somewhere. And like it really came out of nowhere.
It feels like it came out of nowhere, but I don't think it did.
I think at the end of the day, like, they have to keep challenging the player base in different ways. If they designed everything the same, like, no, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Top's difficulty is bad. Like, I think it's good. I think if you're going to simplify jobs and classes, then you need to make the fights harder. That's the trade-off. Because if people are figuring out classes and optimization faster, or what little there may be, then the focus has to be on the mechanics, or else it's never going to be hard. So I think like it's the right decision, and I'm not gonna complain about Top's difficulty. I still enjoy progging it in this second group, and I'm looking forward to clearing and then being able to kind of review that and give all my thoughts. But I do think it was kind of high time that they started designing stuff like this that would challenge you in ways that aren't just doing a rotation around a sequence. So I'm not sure if it's so inaccessible. I think it's just a different form of challenge, and I think people just need time to acclimatize to that, for lack of a better term.
And we're seeing, you know, these fights kind of evolve, so to speak. Like, it's so different from what it was in Hell in Stormblood. From hell, even from Heaven's Ward to now. Is there a point where, design-wise, is there a point where the devs should go back to the drawing board in terms of design and difficulty?
If it's Bard, I know Stal's on board.
I don't know, man. I don't really have a lot of input when it comes to difficulty because my mindset is just that, oh, if it's ultimate, it's meant to be difficult. That kind of thing. So I didn't really think too much of, like, I know there's a lot of discussion on Twitter and stuff about how people are saying that top is really difficult and whatever, like too difficult, but for me, it's just like, I mean, it's ultimate. What did you expect? Of course it's gonna be difficult. But with Savage Rate, I do feel that since Shadowbringers, the Savage Rates have been really boring. It's kind of everything feels a bit samey. Nothing really interesting, but I don't know if that's just my nostalgia speaking because of Heavensward and Stormblood raids though. But Stormblood, everything felt kind of fast. even tank busters were really fast, raid whites were really fast, and compared to what we have now, the most exciting thing we see is like, oh my god, the arena's not a circle or a square. that's like the most exciting thing we see in Savage now, which is kind of weird.
You know what's weird? For difficulty, I don't really know that I ever find a fight stressful because of difficulty. I think first of all, I play Fizz ranged. If I'm complaining about difficulty, I don't want to fucking know what everyone else is dealing with. Because I literally sing through phases. Like, I just sing the mechanics. Because I need something to keep my mind engaged. Because my job is not. Be like, and I dance right now. And then I'll dash over here. Because that's it. It really comes down to time spent. Which is difficulty is a factor in that. But that is not an individual factor. That is a factor that is compounded between all 8 individuals and getting on the same page and getting that one clean pull, because everyone's going to make mistakes. Doesn't matter how easy you think the fight is or whatever opinion one may have or skill level. Everyone's going to mess up, and it's about getting that grind out for those clean runs to get to the next thing. And then just latching on to that one positive feeling, that single dopamine hit of the boss was 5% lower this time, and we died to something else.
On that note, I think that's why P5 is such a wall. Is because in the other phases, you have this tangible sense of the boss HP going down the further you get. But P5 is just 3 separate walls. You get to that mechanic, you're stuck there for days. And I think like maybe a feeling of lack of progress is also what maybe gets to people.
Oh yeah, lack of progress. lack of progress makes you think, I don't need to do this right now. That's it.
Yeah, a little bit.
But you also really want to do it. You're like, no, but if I'm not doing it, I'm not. I need.
Yeah. If I'm not progging, what am I gonna do? If I'm not progging, I'm disappointing myself, or I'm disappointing others. I'm letting the group down. I'm letting other people down. You know, it's a weird, like, it's irrational thoughts, and no one actually cares. But at least in my mind, it's just, man, like, this is tough. I'm not having a great time. But I love raiding. Raiding is like my life essence. I love streaming raid. Like, I need to do this. Even if your brain is just like, no, I can't do this.
so let's dwell on that a little bit. Like, where does that need come from? Well, I mean, we're gonna go to the content creation portion later, because that's another completely different monster alongside rating. But where is it more of a personal thing, or is it more? I just don't want to let my group down, or is it a little column A, a little column B, a little column C? Like, what is it that, drives you to all these things that are, like you said, irrational thoughts? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you are playing a game. At the end of the day, you are playing a game, but your minds tell you it's more than that. As what I'm hearing, it's telling you that it's way more than that. What's driving that?
Completion theory for me. The thought that I cannot leave something unfinished. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's not done, it's going to bug me endlessly. And that's not just true in gaming. That's true in pretty much everything. It's just, it eats at me when it's just like, oh, I could be doing it right now. I could be getting it done. And when I'm done, I'll be free. And it's just like, because you're right. I'm playing a video game and I'm completely aware of that. And I should be having fun. And I am having fun getting to the point where I can complete it. But anytime I'm not getting to that point, it's just brainwaves firing off that are just like, hurry up. You could do it. Come on. Get there. It's like the little angel and devil on the shoulder, except they're both just me calling me an asshole.
I do think it's like somewhat of a sunk cost fallacy thing. When you've been doing something for so long, you're just like, surely I can finish it. Surely it's possible. When you're not doing it, you just want to be back in there. And I think when you're very committed to something like a game, it might just be a game. And honestly, it does tie into content creation a bit, so I won't say too much here, but I think just, again, when you commit to something so much and you hit a wall, you might feel stressed, but you know how rewarding it is at the end. And it's something that just doesn't leave your mind at all. So it ends up becoming more than a game, in the sense that you spend so much time with it for one reason or another that it almost becomes personal, I guess. Sorry for the voice crack. I'm 28, I promise. Yeah, I think it's just like it becomes personal just because of the commitment that you're making.
Mm. So?
I think a lot of mine has to do with content creation, so I'll add on that later too, and just not wanting to let my group down, I guess. Because I've already left the group once, and frankly I was very happy about that. It's a bit of a mental health thing. Like, not happy that I left the group, but happy that I like prioritized myself over, the raid. So I didn't really want that to happen again. Yeah.
Hence your current progression rate and just mentality of the Omega Protocol and Abyssos. I don't remember how you tackled Abyssos.
Oh, I just played with friends, but it was pretty fast. I think we were done on the third day.
It's pretty good. It's like when she got world second in T, she's like, I don't know.
No. That was just lucky.
Yeah, so it's just luck. It has nothing to do with no skill, no time commitment. No, we were lucky. We just killed it in 3 days. So whatever. I wish I could be so nonchalant about getting things done quickly.
I do want to add that, like, I've only really felt this in Ultimate. In Savage, like, my hardcore Savage experience has been really good. Like, Asfo was day 3, Abyssos was day 4. Like, I was super happy with that. Like, I could not complain at all. I had a lot of fun. It's just Ultimates just scratch a different itch, I guess, and that's where the issues come in.
Yeah, I think I have a slightly different mentality about it, just because for me it doesn't matter if it's Savage, Ultimate, what criterion. If I feel like I should already be done with it and I'm not, that's when I start getting like
yeah.
So I'm just like, please, just you can do this. We're almost there. I'd already
forgotten Criterion exists, honestly.
I had a good Criterion. Thing. I had a good Criterion experience. Threw together a group like a week before, and got Criterion and Savage done in a few days. It was fine, but like on those like polls close to it being over, I'm just like, oh, it could already be done. It could already be done. And it stresses me out a lot.
So I kind of want to shift over to the other dynamic of this, from the opposite from difficulty. People. The people you raid with, the people you choose to raid with, or people you choose to group with. And you were mentioning that feeling of not letting them down. It's funny because those other 7 people probably have that feeling too. If they don't, then it's kind of a little bit fucked up. But we see this, and it may differ from group to group or whatever dynamic. Party fund. We're not even gonna fucking talk about party funder.
We'll talk about party
but
funder for your sake.
There you have the good examples, the good stories, and you have the horror stories of just one night that went so horribly wrong that it just all broke apart. When it comes to the group dynamic, you and those 7 other people, like you say you don't want to let them down. What is your each of you, what is your definition of letting them down?
Feeling like the weakest link in a group would be me.
Yeah.
We all have a tendency to notice our own mistakes more than others.
Mhm.
Sometimes you notice other mistakes more than yours if they're especially bad or especially behind. It's kind of a complicated issue because on one hand, you might come away from a finished prog with like some disdain for your group, or you might come away from it thinking, man, I should have done a lot better. So I think it's definitely important to have a balance and not have an ego about it. I'm sure most have fallen into that trap at some point. I know I have in my early days of raiding. I'm a much different person now, thank God. For all I know, that could be a driving force, in fact, into why I always make sure I try and push myself the hardest first. From that point, rather than trying to push others harder. But again, for me, if I know if I'm making a lot of mistakes, then I will latch on to that and tilt myself. Essentially, no one else will tilt me. It would just be me tilting myself, and it just becomes this loop. It goes round and round and round until you go mad.
I know for me, the single worst feeling in any instance of a raid, and this can happen in Rage or at Prog Point, is when 15 pulls of getting to the Prog Point and you're not the one who messes up. And then you get that one where it's you. And you think, everybody pulled it together for this one except me. After all of that time, it is the single worst feeling when you're judging yourself. And I have no means of getting past that in any conceivable way. But it is that. It's not wanting to be the weakest link because it could be because you expect better of yourself, or it could be that you've already done it before, so messing it up feels even worse. It's whatever the reason is. You never want to be the person who wipes the group, or at least I don't. I'm sure there are people out there who don't care. They're like, haha, I died, and I envy those people because I can't do it. I can't ever be that person. So that's definitely a driving factor for me.
I'm the exact same too, but I think it hits harder because I'm a fist range.
Yeah, I'm so easy.
I feel like
is this just fizz ranged anonymous?
Yeah, like you're not supposed to mess up, and you're supposed to learn like one of the fastest because your job is so stupidly boring that it doesn't make sense for you to mess up. It's actually a fist range text.
It's nothing quite like being the fizz
if I was a
range.
melee or a healer.
You'd have a different. This would be a very different conversation. If you were a healer, it would be anywhere between. I love this because it's challenging me to do that. To God, all I do is glare. Just kill me right now. That's it. Somewhere in that range. Yeah, but it's funny because being a fizz range, we have the easy job, but what all it means is that we notice when other people are screwing up just as much as be like, maybe I shouldn't have greeted that. I was like, yeah, what are you doing? Huh? I'm standing over here throwing chakrams, and I'm like questioning how a melee could possibly be hit by greed, and it's like,
that's very accurate.
Yeah. And he's just wondering, but at the same time, it also gives you more time to ponder on the other things that are bothering you. So you just sit there and your mind just kind of goes places. So you unironically, as chat has put it, it's a phys range tax IRL of having too much spare brain power and just not, and then you lose focus, and then you are the one that screws up, and then it goes back to point A.
A vicious cycle, yeah. It could be being phys range is like an underlying cause of it. Who knows? I know I expect a lot of myself, and as much as like I may berate people who are making repeated mistakes, I ultimately expect the same of myself. So if I'm fucking up a lot, I'm also very mad at myself. And I think in a way that is healthy, because you don't want to be biased or look like you think you're better than other people.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's obviously limits. If you just start this cycle of just verbally beating yourself up because you're making mistakes, especially in prog, where mistakes are going to happen, it's not good. Like, I think there has to be a boundary where you go, right, just take a minute, chill. It's okay. You've done it before. You can do it again.
Learning how to not tilt is a prog skill.
It's a prog
hard.
skill.
Literally, yeah.
It's also just one that has long-standing effects, because tilt is called tilt because it's supposed to be momentary. But when you tilt enough, then you become the leaning tower, and
Yeah.
you're just always off.
Pretty much.
So,
I keep seeing LB mentioned in chat. So what happened today was I was in DSRPF and I managed to pull the LB off of my hotbar when I was trying to cast it on Death of the Heavens.
Oh,
you
no,
had
not
a
this
Sam-
I completely lost it myself. I felt so bad because I had to go after, like, I needed to eat and like get ready for this. So it was like the last pull for me, and then I left on that, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I griefed and just left.
And left. Yeah, you wiped them and then left. Yeah, that's not a good feeling. Oh man. That's another thing. Not only when you mess up on the last pull of the day.
Yep.
And it's a good
sticks
pull.
with you. That could have been the one. That could have been it.
Mm-hmm. It's all those little moments. They just add up. You remember every one of them too. They don't go away. When you're done with prog, you'll be like, oh, remember that time? I had an LB moment in DSR that tilted the hell out of me too. I aimed my LB. The LB was going through 3 meteors, and I then targeted a different one in the middle of casting the LB to start DPSing it right after, and my LB turned and didn't hit any meteors. I think I hit one meteor.
Possible?
Yeah, it is. I have a clip of it. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and I was so tilted by it. I've never seen that happen before, but I learned on that day you can turn your LB after it's already finished casting. So, beware, ranged. Oh,
I think it's better just to laugh at those moments, At that point, it's just something so unlikely to happen, and it's just unfortunate. Rather than you being stupid, it's just you not realizing the game works a slightly different way.
Yeah, but I feel like I should have known those things. It's like I should have known I could prevent this with how long I've played.
This is like what it goes back to. You feel like you should be doing better. You feel like you shouldn't be failing this, even if it's just an unfortunate mistake. That's kind of what I mean, and like that's what I get into a lot.
We never use range LB though.
Used a lot in DSR.
True.
Only in DSR.
Well, not only, but it's really hard to screw up the new one. So, really hard to screw up the new one. I would, if I somehow screwed up the new one, I'd feel worse. That would be way worse than any meteor wipe, as far as I'm concerned. Oh.
Well, you all mentioned about putting the responsibility on you when you fuck up and when you mess up. When the other 7 people in your party mess up, and I was watching you, and I was just watching you get to certain prog points, and you like I said, you have so much space, mental space to think about other stuff, but it's just like when your other party members mess up, like how does it make y'all feel when it's like, and like don't be afraid to say, like, be honest.
What, are you afraid of hurting someone's feelings? No, it's never about a person. So there's a point where you need to figure out what kind of raider you actually are in the first place, because that largely ends up being, I guess, what identifies you and how you deal with other people. It depends. Whatever you signed up for is what you're probably expecting from other people. So if I sign up for hardcore prog, I expect that kind of mentality from other people in the group. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to screw. Obviously, you expect people to screw up, die. You know, somebody to be slower at one thing and somebody to be faster at another. And you need to be able to rationalize all of those different possibilities, because if you don't, you become a salty mess, and that is not an experience that you want or should even. You just don't even want it to come into your psyche, because we've all laughed at somebody who's just gone off the rails about like the most random thing. But any amount of tilt or salt can do that to a person given enough time. So it's a really multifaceted thing that it gets into. But for me, it's literally just, we need to come up with a method of solving this, because if we keep getting there and this keeps happening, I'm going to get saltier. So understanding, trying to be a part of the solution, and just not getting that upset over things is really, really important. But even then, somebody screwing up like 15 times on the same mechanic, it does stress you out, again, just because you could be progging or you could be getting another pull, but there's just this underlying issue that you're maybe not sure how to fix, or when it'll be fixed, or when it'll click, and it's tough.
The person is me.
But you're the fizz ranged.
I have issues with any mechanic that requires me to, like, any direction mechanic, so like screens.
I mean, that's actually my
issues with
weakness
that.
too, believe it or not. Same thing.
I struggle a lot with that.
I think it's just an understanding that if you're going to get mad at people, they're allowed to get mad at you. If you're the problem, the same applies to everybody throughout the group. And it could be you have a weaker link in the group and it might stress you out to no end. You have to learn to deal with that, unless it's literally at the point where you're going to replace them. So if it comes to that, then, kind of all bets are off. You're gone. Bye-bye. Find a new one.
Yeah.
But I think maybe it... Go on.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it just depends on what they're messing up. Like, are they messing up a hard mechanic, or are they greeting and dying? It's the nature of it for me, mainly. I definitely had this problem in DSR. And not me personally, because I'm a fizz ranged. But my melee was an issue in that regard. And I messed up too. I'm not going to put myself above anybody, but it was getting to just a point of why does this keep happening several times in every raid in the same place?
I remember.
And I think.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I remember one that it actually tilted me to the point where I realized maybe I wasn't raiding with a group that matched what I wanted out of the tier. On E4S Titan, we spent 3 hours on somebody not understanding how to survive the knockback when he jumps, where you just have to angle diagonally. And I thought that at that moment, I was like, I have to be salty right now. I have to turn off my inhibitors and be a little upset at the moment, because I couldn't reasonably fathom why it was an issue for so many hours. Even when I read a message later where somebody said, "Oh, I looked at it and figured it out," I was like, I don't know that helps, that statement. So I don't know if this is the right place for me. If those are the kind of issues that are being had. And that's a big thing for me is I immediately want to separate myself from situations where I get to that point, even if I don't want to upset other people, because I don't want to be in that place anymore. And I'm very willing to do that. And that's tough, which is kind of why I like being Fizz ranged more, is what I've learned. Is because if a Fizz range leave, everyone's like, who fucking cares? The Fizz range left. Who cares? Absolutely no one's upset. If you're the melee, different story. Yeah, because then I'm just mentally checked out. I'm worried about like every little thing at that point, and like what am I gonna do to help? Because that's like when somebody messes up something that's like actually really difficult to understand or rationalize. Like if somebody's having a hard time with their movement for, I'll use movement for a Pantocrator, I guess. Like they're trying to figure out exactly the way they want to move. I can like pull up examples and like show timings and things like that. And it's very reasonable to kind of work through as a group. But when it's like something really basic, I have a hard time being as nice of a person and as understanding of a person. So it's the different elements of it start to change. That never feels good. You don't want to be that guy. And sometimes things like that can make you that guy.
I don't think there's any pleasure in like being upset at people, but I think it's pretty human to just get to that point where you want something to be fixed.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone can say that they can sit there and be chill forever. Like maybe in casual groups where the idea is just purely having fun and not even caring. Although even more casual groups tend to start having this divide where half the group like really likes raiding and wants to go harder, and then the other half like barely show up on time. But that's another topic. But yeah, I had a similar issue in Eden's Gate. My first group disbanded due to greedy healers. So I'm right there with you.
Too. I've seen that. It's like I can't possibly heal more there. You look and they haven't even used their off globals. Yeah, I've seen that one.
So all these things you said, like kind of for anybody who kind of wants to get in raiding, puts the fear of God in them a little bit, like so much to the point that they don't want to raid anymore. They're like, well, fuck it, I'll just do other shit in game. And it's gotten to the point where, you know, we or certain people have created these, you know, safe spaces where, you know, you can just learn without like any judgment or anything like that. Like these any learning party you see, or any good learning party, excuse me, you see in PF, or somebody decides to host one and whatnot. Yeah, it's just that, like, all these things just, you know, there's the personal responsibility, you know, the other people messing up, you messing up, and the raid mindset of, you know, hardcore versus casual, all these things. You know, why? How should I phrase this?
Why does it matter?
Well, let's start there. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, let's start there. Why does it matter?
Why does it matter? It just matters because it's just having the right mentality, being around people with the same mentality is one of the most important things when it comes to that. Because these things matter to different people, and to some people they don't matter. And there's nothing, the big thing that people should know when they get into raiding, if they hear discussions like this and they think, oh, this makes me not want to raid, is that this is a discussion because you're listening to people with a mindset that is more competitive or more demanding, more personal desire for growth, etc., etc. It's not from people who just want to play and then eventually beat the fight. So it's about making sure you understand who you're listening to when you hear things like this, and then taking away from that. If I raid, I do or don't want to be in that kind of environment of hyper competitive nature where you might have these kinds of experiences or that fun group. But then you also need to know that when in the process of making a fun groups make for hardcore raiders, because groups start fun and then somebody realizes that they want more. And then that person goes on to try to do something more. But then that's its own special kind of problem, but that you just can't take things personally with raiding. That's a lot of the big thing. You just can't take things personally, even if it upsets you, even if it makes you angry, upset, or disappointed, or even if you just have fun and nothing goes wrong. No matter what, you just can't take things personally at the end of the day.
But it somehow always gets to that point.
Yeah, we're human. It is what it is. Everyone wants something, and everyone wants something different. It's gonna happen, but you got to be kind of self-aware of why you feel away and that you don't have to be that way, etc., etc. For me, at least.
I mean, if that was the case, no group would explode. No group would implode. You wouldn't have groups breaking up.
A group can explode without anyone taking anything personally. That can absolutely happen.
How?
Man, raiding sucks.
I mean, I'll give you an example. My group exploded because the time zone sucked for post DSR. It became a scheduling issue. The most stressful thing about raiding was trying to find time for everyone to be on at the same time, because we all had different schedules from different times of different, places in the world with different time zones. So, and sometimes people can just stop having fun doing what they're doing and has nothing to do with the other people. So there's plenty of just completely human reasons to lose interest and not want to be in that environment anymore. And one person leaving can sometimes be the catalyst to completely blow everything up. It's just like, no, they don't want to find someone else, or it was the leader of the group and no one else wants to lead the group. It can be anything.
I think part of it's maybe like, actually, this is a little bit confusing to me, because I think some people get deterred by streamers, for example, especially us louder ones, who are very vocal about our disdain for a PF. But then at the same time, I'll speak for myself here. I'm occasionally told that I've inspired somebody to raid, which is very flattering and humbling. But I'm just like, why? I just scream at my monitor. How am I inspiring you? Maybe my number one tip has always just been you'll soon realize just how bad everyone else is. So if you think you're going to be bad, then just do it. You might be surprised, but still, yeah, I think a lot of this is also just due to what Happy said. Just be aware of who you're listening to. You could go to another streamer and just have a completely different attitude and take on the situation. So don't let it deter you.
We keep trying to give Stal a turn, and she's just like, yeah, that's really interesting.
I don't really have anything else to add. I feel the same as both Haps and Siren, honestly.
Sure, you've had your own experiences, because you didn't start playing hardcore. You kind of got into it. So you started with the more for fun stuff, if I recall.
Oh yeah, I got tricked into raiding. That was bad. Yeah, because I've never done content outside of main story for any other game until 14. They just put me, they dragged me into Alex, and I just thought oh, maybe this a trial, some MSQ trial or something. When they brought me to the normal mode, and I didn't realize that it was only when I got into Alex Savage was when I realized, oh shit, this is a raid. But I don't know what an opener was, or a rotation and all that kind of stuff, because I've never done anything like this. So yeah, it was quite a journey. Yeah, overall my groups have been okay though. It only... Actually, let me think. Generally, all my groups are fine. Maybe just top.
Yeah, but was
Yeah.
that a result of the group, or was that more when and what else was going on, and it was, you know?
I would say it's personality clashes.
That's a big problem. That can lead to a lot of
Yeah.
stress.
Usually,
Yep.
my problems with groups, which still is pretty ongoing ever since I started reading, is that people always ignore me because I'm too soft spoken. And this was also part of one of the reasons why we had some problems in my top group, and not just top, but literally every group that I've been in, I've had this problem except Abyssos. Yeah.
Sounds like that's why I had a good time in Abyssos.
Yeah, that was by far the best group I've ever been in. Even though we weren't like crazy good or whatever, but I think it was the most fun I've had, and that really changed my perspective with reading. And now I just want to play with friends.
Yeah.
I think top confirmed that for me as well. Not that the group is bad, okay? I'm not shitting on my group or anything. But like it's just that a lot of people in there I didn't really know very well, and I didn't get the same enjoyment from top compared to my Abyssos group. Yeah.
It's like when you go to a party and you don't know anyone there, so you just sit at the punch bowl the whole time. Like, I could just leave.
Yep.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Chat says if you get a voice changer to make you sound like a lumberjack, see if that changes what happens.
I think they'll get freaked out, man.
Hey. Someone just shows up. Hey. Hi, everyone.
I can't stand that when I join PFs.
What was that, Sly?
I can't stand that when I join PFs and that happens.
People have voice changers? Wait, what? Huh?
No. It's just like they. And my chat knows this. Like over throughout the years, dude, you could do radio.
Oh.
Yeah, funny thing about that.
That kind of already do.
Funny thing about that. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, because so it's funny because we're mostly talking about what it's like to play with statics, the occasional comment on PF, but you've dealt with it, Sly, but I know you kind of just you separate yourself from all of it because it's just not worth it. You've got like the best separation of like, I want to do this and no, absolutely not.
Years ago when a friend of mine was playing, I think he still plays, but not in the capacity that he does now. He had a link show for doing, tougher content called People We Trust. And ever since then, I mean, the link show has kind of died out now, but ever since then, I apply that rule to doing in-game content. I will only do it with people I trust. That's it.
And that list
It's a good kind of solution.
Yeah.
Just to avoid any further issues, literally ever. Like, just never caring when you clear, never caring what content it is. If it's with people you trust, you know it's going to be a great time.
Yeah. That's why Sly didn't tell me when he was going to start playing Final Fantasy 11 because I'm not in the people I trust group.
No, I mean,
Ooh.
first of all, that was a deal I made with my community, and my mod cashed in on it, and she brought me over to Valor, and like every time I log in, they're the people I trust. Like they just happen to be there, and they just have to drag me to Valor. So there.
He's saying he doesn't trust you, but in like a nice
Oh my
way.
God!
Yeah.
Shut up! No, I trust him. He's not gonna jump the Valor just to help me.
No, but I could probably make a character, out-level you, and then help you. Given how much I know about that game. I also have like 3 characters that are max level, so I could pull one over.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
So, yeah. Only one of them's good, but the other 2 are there. That's for absolute.
Yeah, I'm almost 99.
Yeah, you'll
I'm
get
almost
there.
99.
Yeah, you just got to beat that stupid heckin' Tartaru. Stupid little guy. Oh, man. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, we've kind of mentioned the people aspect. Now, the aspect that we all get to talk about, and the good one, rating and content creation.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. And this is kind of where I was like, yeah, Stal, we need to have you on. Because Stal talked about this a couple of weeks back. I want to say this was like before Top. And this is a big thing. This is a really big thing because, you know, as Stal mentioned, it kind of correlates to your livelihood, so to speak. And I feel like that's kind of fucked up. But again, outside looking in, because I'm not doing ultimates. I'm watching y'all do it.
Not yet.
Not yet. In terms of prog, in terms of, you know, when an ultimate just comes out, we have our audience right here. We have our audience, and more than likely there is a reason. There is a good reason why they watch you. Now, can ultimates improve that audience? Yeah. I mean, it's been shown you do well in terms of like finishing a fight, like not even like world racing, just finishing a fight. You're let's just say it. Stuff gets better for you. Your viewership gets better. Your income could get better for this. And I feel like this is fucked up.
Yeah, but it's true.
It's true.
That's
but
true
it's
of most
fucked up
content
because-
creation. It's fucked up, but it's true. Like that's not even just rating. That's like everything you could do.
I mean, that's like everything you do. And it's fucked up because, like, at the end of the day, you are all of you are just people. You do stuff outside of, you know, ultimate rating. You do stuff outside of Savage. You do stuff outside of fucking 14. But the fact that, you know, well, during let's use an example of during prog. Well, I'm going to watch this person over this person because they're ahead and I want to see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up. And yeah. And Stal, you were kind of talking about that a few weeks back, and it really hit the nail on the head, and that's kind of why we're having this show right now. So I want to thank you for even bringing that up, because that's something that really never gets talked about. Like we as content creators, we really don't talk about like how the onus is on you to do well, not just for your group, but for your channel, for your livelihood.
Yeah, I think especially for me, it's because my channel only started being a thing because of tea. And apparently, well, I didn't know it at the time, but apparently it's a bit of a big deal because it was on stream. So the only reason that I'm really able to stream full time now is because of tea. But the problem with that is now with every single tier or any combat content that comes out, I feel like I have to do it. Because you always have people coming and saying, "Hey, Stal, are you like doing this fight? Are you racing?" Like, it's so annoying sometimes because I'm not racing, but everyone keeps thinking I'm racing. But I always get questions like that all the time, and it does make me feel that if I don't attempt this content, then I'm missing out on an opportunity to grow. And that was pretty. It's pretty clear that when you do Ultimate, especially, and if your group performs well, definitely your channel will be better. Like my group, I think I'm actually not sure about this, but I heard that my group was the first to get the phase 2, and you can see the numbers just spike, and it's insane. It's actually crazy. And if you do well, you also see your channel in general, even though most people wouldn't stay, but your channel will definitely receive like a boost in your audience. And that translates to, I know it's kind of fucked up to say, but that translates to money. This is a livelihood thing. And then just generally your life is changing because you did this one stupid content that you didn't actually want to do, but you have to do it. And I think a lot of people don't actually realize how much like a fight can impact like so many things for a streamer just because you decide to attempt the content. And sometimes you don't even need to be ahead. If you clear within maybe like the first 3 weeks or something, when the hype is still around, that kind of helps as well. But I think a lot of people don't really think about that part unless you're a content creator.
Yeah. I think a lot of people more nowadays, it's kind of almost like with cooking where like there's so much visibility on it now that I think a lot of people do think about it as a non-content creator, but it's not so much that it necessarily matters to the people who aren't content creators. Because a big thing is that being a content creator is a lot like being a server at a restaurant or someone who works in retail in some capacity. In that your career that you've committed to is to provide entertainment, information, whatever your form of content creation is. It's also a non-stop commitment, and it most of the time relies on the goodwill of other people to determine your degree of success. Even the simple goodwill of being present affects opportunities that are outside of that goodwill. So translate that to something that draws a lot of eyes, draws a lot of numbers, may give you a boost, may help you with whatever you got going on for the month, anything at all that can come from the adrenaline and the entertainment that comes from something like the world race. And it can be a lot. It could be a lot to think, oh, we're not doing so well, so we are, this doesn't feel as good as it could. And then now all of a sudden the fight isn't the sole problem. It's the sheer, just the concerns with your livelihood and what you've committed to. Because maybe you could just go commit to something else that is not this, and it could be better for you at the time.
And it, like I said, it just compounds. Like you said, it just compounds with, everything else with the fight, like difficulty in the people. And now there's this extra thing you have to worry about, which is your livelihood. Serenaya, how do you feel about this?
See, it's kind of funny because in terms of viewership and analytics and shit, my channel's the opposite. My channel is a lot quieter during prog. So I don't get inflated numbers from progression, really. Until like we're about to clear, because people are just clicking on like final phase thumbnails that they see in the directory. But like it's really weird because this for me results in me feeling some sort of imposter syndrome, for lack of a better term, because like I feel if I'm not getting it over with fast enough, then I'm letting my stream and my community down, which, by the way, they've done absolutely nothing to suggest. Like, this is completely self-inflicted.
Right.
Like, the sooner I finish something, the sooner I can get back to the content that people do watch me for. And there's always going to be a drop in viewership and whatnot when, like, a world race is on and stuff, and there's, like, 1 billion streamers to watch. Like, that's completely normal. Same happens with, like, new patch content, whatever it happens to be. And I'm very much used to that. But when it comes to actual prog, like, I'm not even like a main attraction for watching prog. So where I got this idea that I have to rush is kind of strange, because like I don't have to. I want to because I love raid. But I think too much about the impact not managing that has on my channel, because like I feel like then the longer I'm progging, the longer people just aren't gonna watch. So the sooner I get it done, the sooner I can go back to molding in PF and just being more myself, which people do seem to enjoy a lot more, at least as far as I know. So yeah, so that then compounds onto this feeling that I need to be on top of my game, because people ask me a lot of questions about Machinist, about raids and stuff. And I feel like I need to have that experience on board all the time. And I want to. But again, it's this like feeling of failure. Like if I'm not doing that, then like my channel is directly affected by it. And it's quite a horrible feeling to have, basically. Even if it's not true, again, like, you know, people don't say this to me. This is the narrative I've built in my head that makes me then strive. And well, this time it didn't work out, and that felt bad.
Oh, we should have group therapy.
This is group therapy.
This is group therapy. I was gonna say, like, it's a lot of pressure put on all of you as content creators just for you to, you know, do well, to succeed. And when you fall short, like, again, this is not of your own doing. It's just, you know, it's just the bad voices in your head, honestly, telling you, like, shit talking you, basically. And
Kind of. I mean, some of it's self-inflicted, but some of it is also just reality as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just, you know, that's how things are, regardless of whether or not you even feel that way, and then it makes you feel that way.
And it's odd. It's odd because even though there are like a lot of content creators who are not doing the world race, they have the race mindset. Like, the sooner I finish, you know, the better this will be for me. And again, it's really fucked up. It's really fucked up that we've gotten to this point.
But it is.
I don't think it's anyone's fault in particular. Like, I don't think it's like viewers' fault. I don't think it's streamers' fault.
It's the nature of the business.
Yeah, that's literally it. And like, I'm not even the most business-like streamer. I never have been. Obviously, like, money is nice. Money is important. I want to make something of this going forward eventually. But for me, I've always, like, whenever I think about it, it's like I'd be way more devastated about losing what I've built over like the money that I would lose. Like, I still live at home. I can get by for as long as it would take me to find a job elsewhere, even if I'd enjoy it infinitely less. And obviously, you know, this is quite an extreme to get to. It's like, oh, I'm going to lose my community. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Right. But it's just those feelings compounding. And so even if the money is not a concern, you always feel like something is being threatened. And that's like quite a rough feeling to have, because it's like, well, then maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. And again, with the example of top prog in mind, I don't regret trying hardcore. I think it was a great experience. I think I learned a lot. I hadn't gone into it with the best mindset just due to a lot of stuff on the side. If I tried it again, I'd probably be better, but I don't think I want to. I think like this kind of made me just say, right, you have to have a change of mindset. You need to like approach this a different way. You know, it's clear like these thoughts are, at least as far as you know, just very invasive and inaccurate. And then adding on top of that is like, yeah, but when I'm not progging and it's unfinished, I don't want to do anything else. It's like I don't have the motivation to do anything else. And again, that's something I have to break out of as well. So like, it's all very confusing, but I hope that made sense.
No, it does. It does.
Yeah, I had this epiphany for me kind of happened more in Heavensward. So back in the olden days when we didn't have as much of a streaming presence for every element of everything, I suppose, I was joining groups that I wasn't allowed to stream prog, despite streaming being my source of income and YouTube being my source of income. And there was a point where I had to give that up. And I needed to find a way to make my stream entertaining during raid. And that didn't really happen until Midas. I think every tier prior to Midas, I did not stream prog. And prog was long. At some point with Twintania, we didn't give a fuck because it was Twintania. And it was a disaster for months on end. But like second coil, nope. Final coil, nope. Gordius, nope. And Gordius was a long experience. So I ended up just looking for means to do content as hardcore as I possibly could with whatever group, you know, had a similar mindset. But I also needed my raid streams to still be me. And so I made it a point to make sure I could still talk to my chat during moments when things weren't as intense. And even that included mid-pull, as long as I also made sure that I could stop and focus if I needed to or I found out it was breaking. And that was a tough balance to find. It's very weird. And that's why I'm a Fizz range, by the way, because I can just talk to chat the whole time.
Relatable?
Yeah. Just 5 phases in, everyone's getting ready for trios, and you're like, no, that's a funny emote. And that went a long way for my mental health years ago. Now it is just for me completion theory in regards to everything, because I'm in the unique position where I can just kind of do my raids, and I don't feel like I don't have to worry about it as much. But it's still in my head because I'm always thinking about the next step. So, yeah. I'll yell at feathers all day if people find it entertaining on Dancer. But I try not to think about the other aspects of it.
I'm very boring in prog. Like when I have to focus, until I've learned it like down to a T, like I have with like most stuff in PF, I can't. Like again, this is like another issue. I mean, well, I don't know if it's really an issue because like a lot of people obviously understand that you have to focus in prog, but the fact that I'm so unable to multitask.
Yeah, you know that you're best when you're talking to your chat. That's the thing.
That's exactly it. So it's almost like I'm a different person. Like I'm not, but I feel like my stream sucks when I'm not talking to my chat. So as unavoidable as it might be because of prog, again, it goes back to just wanting it to be over faster so I can get back to that again.
My whole thing with this, in terms of content creation, is, and this might not be the case for everybody. Again, people have different reasons for viewing, different content creators. But in terms of rating, we put, and I'm just going to say this like blanket for everybody out there, no matter who you are, no matter what your reason is. in terms of rating, we put certain people on a pedestal, and no, like it's gonna happen no matter what.
This happens in not even just rating. This happens in content creation. Content
creation in general. Yeah, exactly. and some people will lose heart when their favorite content creator doesn't do well, and they will just, you won't see them for a while. I've had people come into my stream. Hey, Sly, have you done Savage? No. Cleared it yet? No. Okay, bye. That kind of thing.
Damn, that's harsh.
And
I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And all I'm saying is that not just for these three, but for any Final Fantasy content creator or raider out there who does difficult content. Outside of the difficult content, they're still an awesome content creator. That, like, yes, they can do difficult content, but outside of that, they're still people, and they're still awesome.
But Sly, so this actually comes down to a really important topic. I tend to leave my DMs open to a lot of people who want to ask me questions because I've been doing it for a while. I'm not like the biggest guy, but at the very least, I've managed to have staying power, I suppose, and I've worked hard at that. And there's a lesson I learned very early on. What content are you creating? Are you making content for the game, or are you making content for you? And that is actually tangential to what Stal said, where she felt like T was the reason why a lot of people came to the stream. So now people keep asking about, are you doing this? Are you doing that? That happens with all facets of content creation, rating, all of it. Because if people found you for the game that you played, then odds are that's going to be a problem. If they found you because of the content you were making that was derived around you, then they're likely to stay for more. So that's the biggest thing with the rating aspect of it all, is you might be committed to it at the moment, but if you're not rating after you're done rating, it becomes a different problem altogether. Because you build momentum and then you don't keep momentum because it's not the only thing you want to do. And that's a special kind of stress. Even if you're doing okay outside of that, it's the thought of like, I could have done X and Y and Z, and that could have prospered, but it's not what I wanted to do.
So what happens to the point where, like, when we reach the lull and you are just fucking tired of rating, what happens then?
That's the struggle.
Quit the game.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Oh, did you quit? It's like, dude, I was playing 3 hours ago. I'm just playing something else right now.
Oh my God. How many times do we get that fucking question? Like, I've just kind of leaned into it. You know what? Yeah, I quit for Gundam. Yep, sure did. That's all I play now.
Yeah,
and it's just like
that's a big one.
The day it just happens to be a day you're not playing Final Fantasy.
Dude, it could be the same day. They just weren't there 3 hours ago.
Exactly.
It's just it's a thing.
I don't really have this problem as such. I'm usually just happy people are there. Like,
yeah, if
they ask dumb questions, like, so be it. If they keep asking dumb questions, they're gonna get a dumb answer. You know, like it's it's very much a case of like, okay, you can be a twat in chat, but like, you know, since we're humans too, we have every right to respond the same way. But yeah, for me, like I don't really have a problem with this in particular. I'm happy, rules permitting, that people stop by for however long, 2 minutes, 2 hours, 2 days. if people have expectations for me, and this is part of like, you know, the mindset change I'm trying to brute force in a way, because it's not an overnight thing. It's like if people have expectations, which again I've not really seen, but you know, if me not meeting those isn't enough, then okay, man. Like that's kind of it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't hold that against anybody. Obviously, you know, we even watch streams and we watch for certain content. There's certain streamers I watch now and certain streamers I don't watch anymore because they don't do the content that I enjoyed from them. And, you know, that's fine. It's nothing against them. Especially as a creator, like you kind of understand a bit more, I think, like what the decision making probably was. But yeah, like for me, it's just kind of very much a two-way thing, so it doesn't bother me so much.
Stal?
Oh,
Yeah, you're
Hi.
here. She's that's my favorite thing about having Stal. She's just as much a viewer as she is a co-host. She's like, yeah,
I just like listening.
wow.
But then I listen and I forget the question. So what was the question?
What was the question, Sly? You're the one who put it forth. Because we were just talking about, in general, we kind of went on the tangent. Well, it wasn't even a tangent. You were asking about, like, content creation and versus, like, the content you start making. It was basically kind of the first point, but extended a bit.
Oh, yeah. For me, it's just ever since the tea thing, a lot of people have been expecting me to, like, do well in raids ever since then. And I'm like, oh. It's just luck, though. Like, everyone just ran out of time. It's true. Everyone just ran out of time because they only prepped for a week. And then it just so happened that my group was the opposite, where we had very little time in the beginning because people were taking flights to like some other part of the country and exams and stuff like that. And then we only ended up having more time towards the end. And I think that helped a lot. But I think a lot of people didn't see that. So ever since then, every single raid, I always have people asking me, hey Star, are you racing? Hey Star, are you doing this? And then when I don't meet their expectations, they're just like, you can see it visibly in chat sometimes where they say they're disappointed. Like, oh, she didn't get this and this. Like, I think in E10, my group got world second, and E11, they got world third. But then on E12, we didn't really get good placement and stuff, and you can see people like visibly disappointed in chat. I'm like, yeah, I should have fucked up. I'm sad too. Okay, please stop.
But how have you let that kind of direct your content creation now? Because the big thing is that, you know, you the expectation is set, but you kind of then start to almost, as much as you resent it, you almost kind of adopt the expectation to some capacity, and you got to try to break out of it. So how has that affected kind of your way of thinking about doing content creation now?
I just stopped playing F. I just I think I found out about this thing where people were expecting a lot of me during like Shiva. What, E8?
Yeah.
E8, yeah. And at the time COVID was happening as well, so in my head I thought that Ultimate would probably get delayed because of COVID. So I'm gonna take this time to jump over to Variety to try to stop like being associated to raid and raid only. And it took a really long time, but I think that helped a lot though.
Do you feel comfortable to the point where you feel like you've already jumped the hurdle?
Yeah, I feel that people now hate it when I play 14.
I think that's because I don't know if I think you hate it.
I think everyone's just bored of seeing 14 because if you don't raid, and I don't raid anymore outside of proc, the only thing that you see is just, you know, you're doing your dailies, you're doing expert, like all the kind of same content until something new comes out again, and not everybody doesn't want to see this anymore. So they were more interested in me playing other games. So I think I made the jump pretty well, but it took like almost 2 years. I think it was bad. It was hard.
And in those 2 years, I'm sure you went through kind of a lot of what we're talking about now, I'd assume.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. The 2 years is kind of a bit of a blur, to be honest.
Well, like I said, in the last 3 years, 30 years have gone by. So you were a teenager when you started playing, and now you have a beard.
Yeah.
That's the most excited I've heard anyone sound about growing a beard. Granted, you get to just put yours on your face. You don't have to maintain it. Just plop it on. Repressing 2 years, yeah. What a time. What a time. There it is. It's
I think
wait.
the only thing.
There you go. It doesn't quite look like a beard at them. There we go.
Why does that look like jerky?
What?
Hey, someone clipped it out directly from Xeno's beard and turned it pink.
Oh, it was a different color? That's news to me.
Oh my
Wait,
god.
what?
I can't.
Oh, right, you're... Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Little bit.
It just hit me.
Y'all eat some gross ass beef jerky. That looks like beef jerky to you. I didn't even know it was pink, and I think that's y'all. I don't want y'all's meat. I got my own. I'm good. What were we talking about?
Stuff.
Besides beef jerky,
I got pistachios.
no, just yeah, at the before Happy went on his tangent, I was just gonna say again that outside of rating and content creation, y'all are awesome people, and people shouldn't take that for granted. Oh, stop it.
That dude, it's built in. As a content creator, you always have to be lukewarm about yourself.
No, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all are awesome people, and people should just. I don't know. It's just me, but I really think that, like, no matter what you do, no matter what y'all do, I'm always going to support y'all. I don't give a shit.
I like seeing Stal's
Thanks,
eyes
man.
get wide when you said that. It's like, aw.
I
Like
cannot
I'm
take
in
you seriously with the
disbelief.
beef jerky.
Oh, you're supporting me even though I don't play FF?
Yeah.
I appreciate your ability to play Osu, because I never could get into Osu.
Oh, it's such a good game.
I always tune in. Whenever I see you have no category, I'm like, it's Osu. I'm gonna watch.
It's true.
Every single time. Should play
But you
Fiat.
play the FF rhythm game so well.
I used to do pro rhythm games. I've gotten away from it in my age.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was a pro. I was DDR in the groove. I did
the
tournaments and
fuck?
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Are there videos?
There might be. I got to find them, but I don't know. Either way. Yeah, I always feel that way about people too, and I think that's a weird disconnect between the types of content creators you get. You have the ones who are very much all about themselves, and you have the ones who are just glad to be around other people who are like-minded. I just want to see them be good and do well.
Yeah.
And I'd like to
Yeah, I was
assume we're
gonna-
all in the same category as Sly. I'd like to.
Yeah.
Stall's like that. Fuck you guys.
Wait, what? No.
What were you going to say, Serana?
Oh, I was just gonna add that it's a good thing to enjoy who's there, and instead of enjoying who could be there, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's like
Dance with the one you
the
came
people that stick around are the people that obviously enjoy no matter what you do. So like Stal with her variety, for example. I think like that core audience is incredibly valuable, and those are the people that are going to stick by you no matter what. So instead of thinking about, obviously, like the goal is growth, but the people that are there are the people that you're making that content for in the moment, rather than the people that could be there but are for some reason disappointed or whatever. It's like, it shouldn't deter you at the end of the day.
Right.
And this took me a long time to kind of hit this home. Whenever I had like dips in various analytics, you know, I thought, man, like, is it me doing something wrong? But it's not really. You just have to keep doing you. You have to do what you want to do. Like, just, you know, at the same, as much as you want to create content that as many people can enjoy as possible, you have to be having fun as well. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to add, really.
Agree 110%.
Yeah, and it all comes back to the topic we started with, because sometimes, I mean, like Serenaya said, sometimes it works out. Sometimes it's a personal desire. Sometimes it's not what the people want. Sometimes it's what you. There's just clashing. There's always a clashing perspective between what you want and what the people watching you want, and it's about trying to find where those things line up and build from there.
Yeah. Trying to find a healthy balance, so to speak.
Yeah. Which is, there's nothing about content creation that's healthy most of the time.
No, there is not.
Because sometimes you just want to go ham and make 1 million Armored Core videos, but you're like, man, I can't do that. Not speaking from personal experience or anything. Sly's like, do it. Commit to the Robbins. Do it.
End of the day, I'm just happy to be there. Streaming every day, it's like a dream for me, and I think it's a luxury job that a lot of people would want.
And a lot of people take for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is not as glamorous as it seems.
No.
No.
Not at all.
And us having this episode is proof of that. So, at the end of the day, again, we are not licensed health professionals, but as a content creator or as a raider in general, or just as a person, if you need someone to talk to, get help. Go out there and get help. I cannot stress this enough. Like, therapy has been stigmatized for so long, and we're kind of getting away from that, and thank God. So, go get help, please.
I have actually a lot of rating friends who have sought therapy, because one thing some people do that I've seen and experienced is some people do directly associate their kind of self-worth with how they perform in their favorite activity. And I mean that from like an overall perspective. And I know a lot of those people who have since gotten help, and it's been very good for them. And then they can go back to doing the thing that they like to do. They don't have to give it up. They just learn to handle it correctly. And that can happen with all facets of life. So, but everyone always kind of feels bad, and people look at like what they associate it with and maybe feel better or worse. But it happens. It happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to therapy. I've been in therapy for like 2 years now. It helps.
It
just takes a lot of time.
That's why she doesn't give a fuck about rating anymore. She's like, I ain't doing that shit.
I actually talked to my therapist like 2 months before DSR came out, telling him that I didn't want to do it because I knew I didn't want to rate, but then I kind of got pressured into it. So I was really happy when I decided to drop out. Yeah, go to therapy.
I am thankful for my therapist. I love her to death.
All right. Well, we've had an eventful and insightful, hopefully insightful, last almost 2 hours now, a little under 2 hours at this point. But I think we're coming to the end of the road on this one. I think we've all gotten what we need to get off our chest, and both the sake of raiding and consecration, and the two combined.
Yeah.
And as such, want to thank both of you for being here, Stal and Siren.
Thank you
Thank you so
having
much for coming out.
me.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure having new and returning guests on. So I'm glad that we could arrange this. Long overdue. We might still need to do a support group at some point, Sly, but we'll see about that. A full-on dedicated, like, specific to the fight support group, because, man, I actually didn't find Top all that stressful, believe it or not. This was actually less stressful for DSR than me. For me. It's been a long day. You can't speak, but also, it's not that bad. I don't think it was. I thought it was easier than DSR. Don't tell anyone. I'm also a Fizz ranged. Don't tell anyone.
Fizz ranged anonymous, man. I told you.
I haven't seen the full fight yet, so I'm actually not sure what is like past the second part of Phase 5.
Well, how do you feel about it before that point?
I ended up reprogging, like, I wasn't reprogging, I was subbing for a friend's group, and I thought it was everything else was pretty easy. I got to the second part pretty fast, but I think because they changed the strat, so it made it a bit easier. But I didn't really have that much difficulty getting there.
World second T ranged Fizz says it's easy, so I'll take.
No! It's the ranged brain. I don't need to think about anything. My priorities and everything are so easy because they always put the rage at the last.
En avant.
Yeah, and on the bot, that saved me so many times.
Oh, man. Either way, really glad that we could have this discussion. It's an important one. It's a good one, and appreciate your time. But we should probably start signing off now so we can let you get to the rest of your days, both of you. So, you know what? Let's just start the outros. Stal, you know what? You were very intently listening, but why don't you tell everyone where they can find you at? I'm gonna make you speak. That's what I'm doing right now, making you speak.
Shit. You can find me at twitch.tv/Stal and twitter.com/StalVTuber. YouTube is also Stal VTuber. And yeah, go to therapy if you need it. Therapy good.
Is that the new emote along with water good?
Yeah, water good and therapy good.
I like it. And drink water. Yes, that's the other thing. Hey, drink coffee. It's like water, but
No, just water. Just water.
No, drink coffee. Drink coffee.
Water.
Good.
Coffee's bad.
Coffee has water in it. It's fine.
or drink aloe drinks.
What's that?
It's aloe. It's an aloe juice. It's aloe vera, and it's a juice.
Oh.
If you've never had it, I would highly advise.
That sounds disgustingly healthy.
It's not really. There's so much sugar in it, I bet.
Oh, okay.
They probably pack sugar into this shit. But I love it. Yeah. Siren, thank you again for joining. Good to have you on for the first time. I got to formally speak with you for the first time on Mog Talk, so I knew that you'd be a good fit for us. A good fit for us as a guest. And next time we do an actual range show, you're invited. Not this one.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really cool.
Yeah, I hope it's been relaxing. Where can people find you? What are you up to?
I am over on twitch.tv/Serenaya_Karen. You can find me on Twitter, Serenaya Karen, or one word. I think that's about it for socials. Just also, like, we've spoken about our experiences a lot, but you all matter just as much. So please, if you're struggling in any way, please find a way to help yourself. Don't suffer alone. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. I say this at the end of every stream, and I mean it. But yeah, just shout outs to everyone here, and shout out to my community who honestly carry me some days. So thank you.
I know that feeling. Thank you again for being on. Sly.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's been good. It's been good.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
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 How you doing?
Hi. I'm telling you to tell them where they can find you and what you're doing.
Oh. You can find me at twitch.tv/Sly, aka Gray Fox. You can find me on Twitter at Sly the Fox. Again, really awesome that we finally had this discussion throughout the years of rating and content creation. I kind of say a similar thing to Serenaya at the end of my streams. I always tell all of you to be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, no matter what. And yeah, definitely if you feel the need, definitely speak to at least someone, either in a professional capacity, friends or family, no matter what. But if you do feel the need, definitely speak to someone. We love you all. You all matter, no matter what you can do in or outside of this game. We love you all. As far as what am I doing? Well, I was supposed to start Wild Hearts yesterday, but the power went out. So, possibly starting it today.
But
Or Ishin. Like actual full-on Ishin, not the demo full Ishin. So I have choices. So I don't know what I'm going to do today. But either way, that's what I'll be playing for the near future. I guess, besides Gundam and 14. So yeah, there's that. Happy. What are you up to? Where can they find you if they don't know? I mean, they're here, so
yeah, they're here a little bit. So it's a bit ego stroke kind of thing to be like, oh, you can find me at this location. It's like, yeah, we know already, idiot. Guy doesn't even know where he is. Yeah, you can find me, Mr. Happy. All the locations. That's the 1227 will happen. You don't even need to type that in most of the time. Just you'll find it. I swear. I've got Wild Hearts going on. Theatrhythm just came out, and then Octopath 2 is next week. So that's going to be a thrilling time. This show was kind of important to me in a different regard. I've got something coming up that Sly already knows about, but many of you will be finding out about soon. That's going to be. I'm going to be having a lot of feels in the near future. So things like this are more important than I may let on. I don't end my stream with be excellent or anything in that regard. I just get out because I need to go just be alone. That's my coping mechanism. Like, I'm out. I'm going to go release my mind of everything pretty much. But it's important stuff, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself in whatever way you can. That's how it is for me, but whatever it is for you, make sure that you figure it out and you take care of yourself above all else. You know what? Actually, I do have one thing that I say. I say, if you can't take care of number one, you can't take care of the other things that matter. That's what I always say. So I don't say that when I leave, but that is very true. So be sure to take care of number one, and you're number one. It's you.
No, you.
No, you.
No, you.
Like I'm like 6 at best in my own head, you know? Like I can fill in 1 through 5 ahead of me. No, you're number one. I swear. But thanks everyone for joining us for this episode. I do have an idea for next week's episode. I'll speak with Sly about that after all is said and done. But if not, whatever, we'll do it the week after that, just in case we can't get a guest for next week. But thank you again, Stal, Serenaya, for being on. Thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon.
thank you.
And our other sponsors with Steel Series and Advanced GG. And with that, we'll go into a short post show because I am dying of hunger over here. And yeah, I want to go eat. So thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you next time we do a show. So bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.